All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going deep into the world of watches. Luxury watches, to be
It was
exact.
a fun topic.
Oh, and this time we're zeroing in on something that's got the whole watch community talking.
Mm.
It's this new development in materials. We've got excerpts from this article all about Hublot and their magic ceramic.
I've heard about this. Sounds intriguing.
It really is, and we'll get into exactly why. But first, gotta lay some groundwork.
Okay, sounds good.
So ceramic watches, they've been around for a while, right? But getting those bright, vibrant colors in ceramic, that's always been the tricky part.
Yeah, it's not as straightforward as it might seem.
Right, like you can't just pick a color and bake it in.
Exactly. It all starts with zirconium oxide, which is naturally white. And then to get color, you have to add metallic oxides. But getting those really rich, deep colors, you know, the kind you see on some of those high-end watches, that takes a lot of technical know-how.
It's like trying to create a masterpiece, but with only a few colors on your palette.
That's a great analogy.
Right. And you really got to understand how those pigments react, how they mix to get those colors to really pop. And that's kind of what makes this whole magic ceramic thing so groundbreaking.
It is. It's a real step forward, not just for color, but also for creating those intricate patterns you see right within the ceramic.
Oh, absolutely. But before we go too deep into that, let's talk about what's already out there. So
Hmm.
I'm sure you've seen those two-tone Rolex bezels, the Pepsi or the Batman on the GMT Master 2.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah, but those are surface treatments. They're not actually solid multicolored ceramic.
Right. It's more like applying a coating, a colorful layer on top. Looks great, but the color doesn't go all the way through.
So Rolex is doing a layered approach, yeah.
Hmm.
But then you've got brands like Audemars Piguet. They're working with something called polychrome ceramic. They use this spark plasma sintering process, which just sounds super sci-fi.
It does have a futuristic ring to it.
So imagine this. You take these different colored ceramic powders, you put them in a mold, and then boom, you zap them with a huge electric current. It creates this intense heat and pressure, and it fuses the powders together super fast. It's really cool.
When it's that speed, that rapid sintering, that actually makes each piece kind of unique because the pattern can be a little different every time, right?
The article mentioned that, yeah, like baking a cake where the swirls are always a little bit different.
Exactly. But even with this advanced tech, there are still some limitations.
Okay.
From what I understand, with this method, Audemars Piguets mostly produce shades of gray, and it's still early days, nothing commercially available yet, still in the prototype phase.
Which brings us to Hublot and their magic ceramic entrance. They're basically saying, hey, we've cracked the code, the world's first commercially available solid multicolored ceramic.
Bold claim.
Right. And they didn't just stop at a concept. They actually released a limited edition Big Bang Unico watch using this new material.
Really? So it's a real product.
Real watch, yeah. And it's got everyone buzzing, trying to figure out how they did it, what's the secret sauce.
Well, Hublot's playing it close to the vest, patent pending and all. But I did find some interesting tidbits from an interview with their R&D director.
Oh, you did? Okay, spill the beans. What did they say?
Well, they're still using those metallic oxides for color, but the trick seems to be in the temperature control during baking and molding. You see, each pigment reacts differently to heat, and Hublot, somehow they've figured out how to manipulate that to create the colors and the patterns all inside the ceramic, not just on the surface.
Wait, so like if you cut one of these magic ceramic pieces in half, you'd see the color and pattern all the way through.
That's the idea. It's like a
Yeah.
whole new level of precision and control.
Like a jawbreaker for a watch.
Exactly. Nobody's done this before with colored ceramic.
Okay, so now I got to know, what's the watch itself like?
So picture this, 42 millimeter black ceramic case, matte finish, a few polished accents. But the star, the real showstopper, is the bezel. It's got these blue circles really striking on a dark gray background. And here's the kicker. Because of the way they machine the ceramic, each bezel is slightly different.
No way. So every watch is unique.
Every single one. And then, to power this beauty, you've got Hublot's in-house Unico movement, automatic flyback chronograph with a column wheel. And of course, it's finished in dark gray to match the case.
Now, for those who aren't watch nerds like us, a flyback chronograph that lets you reset and restart the chronograph with just one push, super useful for timing things back to back. And the column wheel, think of it like the brains of the chronograph, makes everything run smoothly.
It's a beautiful blend of technical skill and, well, just pure artistry.
So we've talked about the challenges, what's already out there, and Hublot's big innovation. But the big question is, what does all this mean for the future of watches? Where do we go from here?
That's where things get really exciting. Hublot says they've already played around with different color combinations, geometric patterns, even gradients. They're planning to show off even more at the upcoming Watches and Wonders fair.
Ooh, can't wait for that.
It feels like we're seeing the start of something big, like a whole new era for watch design.
Absolutely. It's not just about watches anymore, is it? It's about how this material could change how we design, well, everything.
You got it.
Right.
This isn't just a cool-looking watch. It's like a sneak peek into the future of materials science.
It really makes you think.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is this magic ceramic a flash in the pan, or is it a real game changer?
What jumps out at you? The tech, the art, something else entirely? We want to hear your thoughts.
But before we go too far down the rabbit hole, let's just take a second to appreciate that we live in a time where we can literally wear cutting-edge tech on our wrist.
It's a pretty amazing testament to human ingenuity, isn't it?
Totally. And speaking of pushing boundaries,
Oh.
what about the watch industry as a whole? Where do you see things going from here?
Well, now we're getting into the big questions, right? Will other brands jump on board? Will we see tons of these multicolored ceramic watches hitting the market?
And if that happens, what happens to the value of these limited edition pieces?
It's a tough one. On one hand, it's great to see new tech becoming more widely available, but then there's that impact on collectors, that idea of rarity.
And we can't forget about the environmental impact.
Yeah.
Making these high-tech ceramics, it takes a lot of energy and resources.
Absolutely, it's a key point. As excited as we get about these advancements, we got to think about sustainability, that long-term impact.
It's a good reminder that progress isn't always simple, right? Every step forward comes with its own set of, well, challenges.
True, but even with those challenges, it's hard not to be optimistic about the future of materials and design. There's just so much potential out there.
I agree. It's a field that's constantly moving, always pushing us to think differently about the materials we use, the things we create.
And with innovations like magic ceramic leading the charge, who knows what incredible materials and designs we'll be talking about in a few years.
It feels like we're standing at the edge of something brand new. And the possibilities, well, they seem endless. It's pretty captivating.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's that unknown that drives us to explore, to innovate, to push past what we thought was possible.
All right, so let's bring it back down to earth for a minute. For those who manage to get their hands on one of these Hublot Big Bang Unico Magic ceramic watches, they're not just getting a watch, they're getting a piece of history.
They're wearing a testament to all that dedication, that innovation, that artistry.
And let's face it, it's a pretty cool conversation starter, too.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine just casually dropping, oh yeah, my watch, multicolored ceramic, patterns baked right in.
I can already see the jaws dropping.
It's a statement piece, for sure.
So what's the final verdict then? Flashy gimmick or game changer?
Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, it's got people talking, and not just about watches.
Right. It's about materials, about design, about the future.
Exactly. That's what we love about these deep dives. We're not just skimming the surface. We're going deep, exploring where tech, art, and culture collide.
We're pushing ourselves to think differently, to embrace what we don't know.
We're all about that curiosity, that critical thinking, that sense of wonder.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of multicolored ceramic, here's a final thought for you to chew on. If this tech can transform something as, well, as seemingly simple as a watch bezel, what else can it do? Makes you wonder, where could this go next?
Oh, for sure. Imagine, like smartphones, right? With those vibrant ceramic cases, super durable and just beautiful to look at.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Or how about in architecture? Buildings with these crazy patterns baked right into the walls, changing color with the light.
Endless possibilities, really. And this is just the beginning, right? Who knows what's coming next?
That's what's so cool about these deep dives. We're not just looking at what's hot right now. We're getting a glimpse of, well, the future of materials and design.
Absolutely. That line between technology and art, it's getting blurrier all the time.
You know, it's funny. When we started talking about ceramic watches, I was thinking mostly about, toughness, scratch resistance.
Yeah.
But this magic ceramic, it's almost like art.
It's a perfect example of how pushing the limits can lead to something completely unexpected. It's not just a functional material anymore. It's a canvas.
And it's not just about looks either.
Yeah.
Ceramic is light.
Yeah.
Right. And hypoallergenic.
Exactly. So you've got a watch that looks incredible, but it's also comfy to wear, practical.
So, all you watch fans out there, what do you think? Is this something you'd like to see more of?
What gets you excited about it? The tech behind it, the artistic potential, or maybe something else entirely?
Tell us. But hey, Even if you're not into watches, let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that we're at a point where we can wear, well, a piece of the future on our wrist.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
So we've talked a lot about Hublot, but this whole magic ceramic thing, it raises some questions about the future of watchmaking as a whole. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a great point. Will other brands follow Hublot's lead? Will we see a flood of these multicolored ceramic watches?
And what does that mean for collectors, for the value of these limited editions?
It's a tricky balance. New tech becoming more accessible, that's exciting, but then there's the impact on the collector's market, that sense of exclusivity.
And of course, we have to talk about the environmental impact. Producing these high-tech ceramics, it's energy intensive.
For sure. As amazing as these advancements are, we can't ignore that. Sustainability matters.
It's a reminder that progress isn't always a straight line. There are always trade-offs.
Very true. But even with all that, there's a lot to be optimistic about. The future of materials, science, design, it's full of potential.
Totally agree. It's a field that's constantly evolving, pushing us to rethink what's possible.
And with things like magic ceramic paving the way, who knows what incredible stuff we'll be seeing in the years to come.
It's like we're on the brink of a whole new frontier. Limitless possibility.
And that's the beauty of it all, right?
Right.
That unknown, it drives us to explore, to create, to push the boundaries.
So let's bring it back down to earth for a second. Those lucky enough to get one of those Hublot Big Bang Unico Magic ceramic watches, they're not just getting a watch, right? It's a piece of history.
A testament to all that craftsmanship, innovation.
And hey, you got to admit, it's a pretty good conversation starter.
No, absolutely. Hey, check out my watch. Multicolored ceramic, the pattern's built right in.
Instant wow factor.
Definitely a statement piece.
So, bottom line, is it just a gimmick or is it something more?
Only time will tell, but it's got people thinking, and that's what matters.
It's sparking conversations, going beyond just watches.
That's what these deep dives are all about. Digging deeper, connecting the dots between technology, art, everything.
Encouraging people to think critically, to question.
And to never lose that sense of wonder.
So as we wrap up this exploration of multicolored ceramic, one last thought. If this technology can change something as seemingly simple as a watch bezel, what else can it do?
Yeah, it really gets you thinking, doesn't it? I mean, if we're seeing this in watches, what other fields are ready for this kind of change?
So many possibilities. It's really exciting to think about.
And it's not just about, the tech itself, this magic ceramic. It's really shown that material science can be, artistic.
Oh, absolutely. We tend to think of technology and art as separate things, but this shows how they can come together, in such a beautiful way.
We started talking about the challenges of getting color in ceramic, and now we're imagining buildings that change color with the light. It's pretty wild.
It is, right.
Right.
And it just goes to show innovation, it can come from the most unexpected places. Who would have thought a colorful watch bezel could lead to this kind of shift in how we think about materials, about design? Yeah, it's a good reminder to always be curious, to keep experimenting. And speaking of experimenting, I'm curious what you think. Will this magic ceramic become like the standard? Or will it stay, a niche luxury?
That's a tough one. I mean, the technology is amazing and it looks incredible. But then there's the cost. Can they make enough of it? And maybe some people even like the idea that it's exclusive.
Right. It's not enough to just create something amazing. It has to be, practical, sustainable in the long run.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to watch how Hublot handles those challenges and whether other brands, develop their own way of doing this multicolored ceramic thing.
Maybe we'll see a whole bunch of different techniques, different styles, each with their own, advantages.
Imagine choosing a watch based not just on the brand or the movement, but on the type of ceramic, the story behind it.
It would totally change how people collect watches, how they appreciate them.
Wouldn't it? It's like we're moving towards this new kind of luxury where it's all about expressing yourself, not just through the design, but through the very materials themselves.
That's a really interesting thought. And I think it captures, the excitement, the potential of this whole new wave of materials innovation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of multicolored ceramic, I hope you're leaving with a sense of wonder, a sense of inspiration.
I know I am. And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep that curiosity alive. Who knows what we'll discover next?